Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'll be covering part 4, or the final update to a very popular video I covered back in April, which was titled, Golddigger Wife Expected to Get Rich and Divorce Freaks Out Upon Learning They Were Never Married. And as a recap, because I know it's been 3 months, that's about the guy who's telling his story about his buddy, who back in the 90s, this guy, his friend here, was a Wall Street type, did extremely well for himself, got together with this gal codenamed Laura, and found out eventually that she was cheating on him. She was a big, giant gold digger who got with him only to benefit from, obviously, his money, his resources, and all that, and was planning to stay married to him for a certain length of time, then take him to the cleaners. Well, with the help of the guy telling the story here, his wife, and of course the guy that was being taken advantage of, they managed to make it out to be like they were never married. They got rid of there was no proof of the marriage license or whatever the heck it was, and she couldn't prove that they were actually married, as crazy as that was, and she got nothing. And it was absolutely a hilarious story here. Great one. I really enjoyed it. Well, anyhow, guys, our guy here is writing in after 3 months. He got together with the old friend whose story was about back in the 90s, and the guy really gave more information about what was going on, but also what happened to the ex. Because a lot of you guys wondered really what happened to her in great detail, what was going on behind the scenes. So the guy wrote in, really long, but you'll definitely appreciate it, and it's definitely a good one here. Before I get into it, guys, again, come check me out and join the men's community over on Locals or Patreon. You can either join as a free member, doesn't cost you anything, or become a paid supporter and get a lot of exclusive content and all my stuff commercial free from all 3 channels. Anyhow, check out the link in the description or the comment section. So his story continues. He says here, Hi SSM. I didn't think I'd be writing an update on this crazy New York marriage that ended without a divorce, but Jay came home to visit us and his mother on the 4th of July. I don't remember if I mentioned in the original story, but Jay moved to Chicago years ago when he moved over to the new financial firm. But he still visits often because all of his closest friends and family are on the East Coast. I think he mentioned that in the last update that he's in Chicago. Well, as you remember, I've been wanting to send you his story for many years, but Jay did not want his business out there, so I had to keep it to myself. Gladly, he changed his mind on that. Well, Jay and I went out to catch up during his recent visit, and naturally we spoke at length about the whole Laura saga and you telling a story on your channel. It's got to be something hearing your story like that, especially if it's not you didn't write it in, but your friend did with your permission. Jay has always been a private type of guy, so even though we knew what was going on, my now wife was the one who caught Laura cheating, Jay didn't tell us about the behind-the-scenes drama that happened after she got caught all those years ago. In a way, I'm glad he spared us because at one point, Laura was on the warpath against my wife, when she found out that it was her who outed Laura. If I recall, our guy who's telling the story on behalf of his friend, his wife back then, girlfriend, saw her out making out with some dude right on 5th Avenue or something like that, you know? What are the odds? Well, Jay had confided in his cousin, Jay is an only child, for emotional support, and unfortunately, that cousin told Jay's situation to another friend. That friend then went up talking to other people, and that's how it got back to Laura. After I broke the bad news to Jay, I spent a lot of time with him because of how heartbroken he was. Laura had really went off the deep end with her antics around this time. After Jay kicked her out of the condo, Laura tried returning home even though Jay specifically told her he needed time away from her. Well, naturally, she needs to change his mind. Remember, they were quote-unquote a married couple, so there's nothing he could technically do to stop her. Jay said when Laura came home after 3 to 4 days, he was enraged at seeing her, but she refused to leave. Doesn't surprise me. Jay told her he would be divorcing her, and she broke down crying. Hobag Handbook Chapter 2. She was caught. Evidence. And she was planning on staying with him to a certain length of time in the marriage that she could make out like a bandit. And remember our guy, he spent so much money on her. She begged him not to believe whatever he was told, and that it was all lies, and people were jealous of their marriage and success. Well, Jay, in his heartbroken state, almost believed her. Laura admitted that she was out in the city with friends, but she was not with anybody but her girlfriends. Yeah, and how's that always worked out? She tried spinning the story by saying that her affair partner, a coworker, was just someone she ran into, and she gave him a hug. Laura said my wife probably saw her hugging him and misinterpreted the situation. This is not the first time I've heard stories where a girl's busted cheating, and then she says that, no, it was just a hug. I'm sure you guys have heard that. What kind of hug is it when her tongue's down a guy's throat, or vice versa? SSM, my wife, did not just witness a hug. She saw the affair partner holding Laura by the waist, and she saw them kissing multiple times. They were also walking holding hands. After Laura lied to Jay, he then asked me and my wife to come over so he could talk to my wife. We did visit him, and my wife was visibly distraught because she was never been in a situation like this. I guess you could say that Jay's enormous wealth scared her a bit because she was afraid that she would be targeted. Well, as the saying goes, no good deed goes unpunished, and I'm glad obviously it worked out, but I can see why she's a little worried. Luckily, Jay had been nothing but a great friend, and he protected my wife from any nonsense Laura tried. We spoke at length with Jay about what my wife saw, and thank God, Jay wholeheartedly believed my wife. When Jay confronted Laura about the coworker kissing her and holding hands in public, Laura tried disparaging me and my wife by calling us opportunistic liars. Pot calling the kettle black, huh? Except you weren't doing anything. That's what she is. She knows what she is. This was a stupid mistake on Laura's part because I've known Jay almost my entire life. SSM, with all the stories you have read, you know how easily people fall for lies, and Jay could have taken Laura's side. I won't lie, I was also worried that I might lose my best friend over this. My wife didn't want to tell him. She begged me to tell Jay that I was the one who saw because she didn't want Laura and her harpy friends targeting her. But I couldn't do that because I'm not a liar and I wasn't about to start then. That's good, man. You know, if it got out that you made that part up even though what she did is what she did, that could screw up the whole thing. I had several long conversations with my wife before we went and visited Jay, and we were both 100% in agreement that no matter what the outcome is, we both owe to Jay to tell him the truth, even if it hurts us in the end. That's good of you to do that, and I'm sure that wasn't easy. Over the next few weeks, my wife got several angry calls from Laura's friends, who she barely even knew. They berated her and called her every nasty thing you can possibly think of, and it really hurt my wife. Again, no good deed goes unpunished. But we all know what happens to good old Laura, so, ha 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 on her. She broke down over it multiple times. Thankfully, it didn't get out of control beyond those phone calls, because when Jay found out that Laura was harassing my wife, he put his foot down hard. I think Laura could also gotten a restraining order, I think, at that point. And this is also the 90s. There were cell phones back then, but still, it's not the same as... I'm sure everybody had a landline back then, and it wasn't as easy to block people. I mean, it could be done, yes, but it wasn't as easy. He told her if she tried attacking my wife, that he would have her served within 24 hours. That immediately put a stop to the nonsense. Once Laura realized she couldn't try spinning the narrative against my wife, that's when she decided to move to Chapter 2 of the Hobag Handbook. She decided to admit to the affair, but she defiantly said that she'd been seeing the affair partner for 2 weeks, and they never slept with each other. Oh, okay, so first it was, they're just friends catching up in the middle of Fifth Avenue with a big old hug. And now, never mind, changing the story, I lied. Okay, we've been seeing each other 2 weeks, but there's been no loving. Yeah. Laura begged for forgiveness and that it was just a mistake and a temporary lapse in judgment. Bull crap, honey. At that moment, we didn't know how long Laura was cheating on Jay, only that she was. Jay and I spoke about this, and I knew Laura was lying, but we didn't have any proof. I just told Jay it doesn't matter if it was 2 days, 2 weeks, or 6 months. She's a cheater, and he needs to divorce her. Absolutely. Or in his situation, they didn't have the evidence filed with the state that they were married, so something even funnier. Well, you must be wondering if we ever found out how long Laura was cheating on Jay. The answer is 1 year. There you go. How do we find out? Bridget, the frenemy I mentioned in the original email. One of Laura's friends came and told Jay that she knew about Laura's affair and she wanted to come clean. That happens a lot too. I'm convinced, guys, that every single woman walking the planet right now, I don't care where they are, whether they're in a small village in a poorer country in Southeast Asia or Africa or South America, or a woman walking the streets of Paris, or Zurich or fucking Beverly Hills or down New York City, every woman walking the planet from being a little kid to an old granny in an old folks home has at least one frenemy. They all do. And they all keep them around because of the fucking drama. Never ceases to amaze me. But this situation, it worked out. I never trusted Bridget and kept thinking that she must have a motive for telling Jay, but Brittany apparently just hated Laura. But why? Well, Brittany said she's known Laura since their middle school days. Bridget said she was in a 3-year relationship back in high school, and suddenly out of nowhere, her boyfriend broke up with her. Bridget was heartbroken over the breakup because she thought that she would one day marry her boyfriend and was very much in love. About 45 weeks after the breakup, Bridget went to a high school event, and while there, she caught a glimpse of her ex-boyfriend waiting in the food line, and guess who he was with? Laura. Bridget kept watching and then saw Laura kiss her ex-boyfriend. Man, Laura's very big on making out with dudes in public, huh? Well, here you go. Hell hath no fury. She's been planning her revenge for years. Apparently, Laura is quite stupid and has a history of getting caught openly cheating. Well, Bridget became enraged at seeing Laura with the ex, and she immediately confronted them both. There was a lot of yelling and screaming, and Bridget even punched Laura in the face. Eventually, they all got kicked out of the event, and the police had to be called. Cat fight. Of course, both Laura and Bridget exes lied and said that they got together after the breakup, but Bridget did not believe them and felt Laura crossed the line anyway by dating a friend's ex. Well, there you go. But women will betray their best friend for a guy if they see that guy as a prize. This I know from personal experience. Bridget said that she started investigating and eventually found out that Laura was sleeping with her boyfriend for over 6 months. I will never understand how women think and behave, but even years later, after going through this betrayal, Bridget and Laura remain friends. I'm not surprised. That happened to me, guys. I've mentioned this in the long past. Something I'm not proud of. The only time I ever cheated on a girl was when I was 16. I had a girlfriend, and we'll nickname her Lindsay. And her best friend, I'll call her Megan. And I was friends with Megan and dating Lindsay, and wasn't going anywhere with Lindsay, even though I liked her. She's a sweet girl. But Megan, who's a friend of mine too, I could tell. The one really liked me, and two, I'd be getting some action from her. And despicably, yeah, I cheated with Megan and broke up with Lindsay the next day. And I'm a scumbag for doing that, and I felt bad. But, goes to show, she didn't have no problem, Megan, stealing her best friend's guy. Well, joke's on me. Months later, I got dumped. And they blamed me for ruining their friendship and went back to being friends. How about that? No accountability, and they'll steal a guy. Amazing. And I never, ever did that again because I felt awful, you know. But anyhow, yeah, they'll do that. Looking back now, I think Bridget never forgave Laura for her betrayal, and then she was just biding her time to pay her back. Hell hath no fury. When Bridget found out that Laura got caught, she used that opening to drive the knife into Laura's back. Jay asked Bridget why she didn't tell him about the affair herself, and Bridget said she couldn't bring herself to hurt him or Laura. Yes, I'm laughing because no one believed that nonsense. I think Bridget was going to expose Laura, but one of two things was true. Either she didn't want to be the one who told him, or she wanted the blow up to be even bigger. Bridget gave Jay an entire collection of photos that she had on Laura. The harpies and the affair partner going out partying, going on weekend trips, girls' night, etc. Damn. This is the turning point. Jay never believed any of Laura's lies, but up until then, he didn't have any hard evidence. Again, this is all the information that you got when you got together over the 4th of July, huh? Well, Bridget made sure Jay had all the ammo he needed. The pictures Bridget handed over dated back to over a year ago, and there were not just a few, but more like hundreds of them. Bridget was literally documenting Laura's affair, and she had every intention of one day handing the evidence over to Jay. Here's the thing, I mean, good job, Brittany, and she was very thorough in her record keeping, but I think just a few pictures would have done the job, but she wanted to make sure that there was no way Laura could have pulled her crap and gotten away with it. And this is in addition to our guy here's wife catching her red-handed making out on the street in New York City, wherever that was. Some of those pictures were very raunchy. Jay said there were multiple pictures of Laura sitting on the AP's lap in a hot tub and then making out at clubs. Once Jay had this evidence, he told his mom because she was devastated. Oh yeah, remember the mother? The mother was awesome in this story. Up until this point, Jay was still unsure about which direction he should take and had not retained an attorney as of yet. If you remember, Jay's mom had already retained a very expensive lawyer. That's right, the mom was awesome. As soon as Jay's mother saw those pictures, she was prepared to go to war, and she told Jay she already had an attorney working on his divorce. Well, it was 5 to 6 weeks later, Jay got those pictures that he decided to confront Laura. These 5 to 6 weeks also happened to be when the attorney informed Jay and his mom that there is no record of their marriage in New York State. The attorney had represented a lot of wealthy clients in divorce, but he admitted he had never handled a case where no marriage certificate existed. Well, remember the old priest had that? This could be a freaking movie. He thought they would still have to go through the divorce process, so he was preparing as such. He says, New York is a no-fault divorce state, but guess what? The law didn't go into effect until 2010. This whole saga took place in the late 90s, so all those pictures Jay had would be admissible into court. The attorney was feeling good that they had a solid case of infidelity, and he was doing strategy with Jay's mom on how to protect as much of Jay's wealth as they could, since there was no prenup. Remember, even though they were relatively young, Jay was a Wall Street guy, very sharp, made a lot of freaking money. A few days after Jay found out that he was already represented by an attorney, that's when the bombshell hit. New York State informed his attorney that the petition for divorce was rejected. And I'll tell you exactly what his lawyer said. And again, this is coming from Jay telling him more details here. He said, and this is paraphrasing it, I've been practicing family law for 27 years, and I've never ever seen a rejection letter when filing for divorce. The letter basically informed the lawyer that a divorce case could not be filed because there is no record of the marriage in New York. New York does not recognize common law marriage, so essentially there was no case. Or maybe, I don't know if they recognize common law marriage now, but they didn't back in the 90s. I think Jay's mom was far happier than Jay was. They decided that she should join Jay when they went to Laura's family to break the news. As you can imagine, Laura was shocked and in disbelief when Jay showed her the rejection letter from the courts. At the same time, she immediately put on the fake waterworks, crying that he tried to file divorce instead of working on the marriage. He needs to work on the marriage. Who's the one that screwed it all up? Her. And yet the guy's supposed to work on the marriage? It's amazing how you hear that line over and over again. Well, Jay decided to use that moment to ask Laura to explain the nature of her relationship with the affair partner. She once again pulled a few more chapters from the Hobag Handbook, saying that she had made a mistake, but never slept with him and only spent time with him in public at bars and restaurants over a few weeks. Jay let her tighten her own noose and didn't interrupt her. After she was done, Jay slid an envelope that contained printouts of all of Bridget's pictures. Oh, that must have been fun to watch. Jay then asked a stunned, pale-faced Laura how she managed to do all this in just 2 weeks. That's funny. Laura was speechless at this point. Jay said she was rotating between hysterically crying, cursing my wife, then cursing Bridget on repeat while Jay's mom took delight in watching her break down. Jay's mom is freaking cool. Jay had taken Laura's Aston Martin back before this meeting, and Jay's mom decided to have a little fun with Laura by saying, "Son, your mom could use a little help in finding a good car. I hear you have a spare that you could give me." Man, Mama Bear there. Well, Jay actually started laughing when recalling this part because it made Laura become even more unhinged. I want to remind you that Laura's parents were also at this meeting. Laura's mom had the gall to say, "You came here to be vindictive and purposely hurt my daughter," to which Jay lashed out, throwing the pile of pictures in front of her, and he asked her, this isn't vindictive? He told her parents that he had loved Laura and treated her better than anybody in his life. He gave her everything she could ever want, and he was faithful for all 6 years of their quote-unquote marriage. Well, there's a problem when you give somebody everything and make him the queen and all that. I'm not blaming Jay for what happened. I mean, I think Laura would have done this anyway. After Jay and his mom left, that's when Laura knew the marriage was truly over, but that didn't stop her from getting a hefty payday from him in court. Jay had to cut her off financially. So she had no credit cards, no access to any of their accounts, and now Jay was within his legal rights to really kick her out of their home. Laura thought she could still return to their home the following day, but she was immediately stopped at the front entrance of the building by security. Jay informed them that the condo was 100% his and that Laura is not to be permitted entrance under any circumstance. I picture her walking in with her freaking like mink coat and her freaking flashing the jewels and all that, and with a bitchy attitude to security, and they probably hate her anyway because she's probably really rude to them. And they're like, nope. You picture like this 6'8" security guy there, like basically get the F out. I'm picturing like that movie, Defending the Faith, I think it was, with oh God, what are their names? You know, the guy who played Greg Fokker and the other guy, and he was trying to get into the building to talk to Janet Elfman, and this giant security guy, and he kept trying to run past him, and kept blocking him and blocking him. It just popped in my head there. So I can't think of his name. Who the hell plays Greg Fokker? Fuck it. You guys will tell me. Anyway, she made a huge scene at the condo building entrance, cursing and yelling wildly as she lived there for 6 years, and they can't do this to her. Security and management tried calming her down, but Laura kept escalating to the point where she slapped a security guard. Big mistake. At that point, she was forcibly taken down to the ground and handcuffed with zip ties until the cops could arrive. Laura, of course, tried lying to the police until security took them to the CCTV room. After they reviewed the footage, Laura was arrested for battery and trespassing from the building. Could happen to a nicer girl. I still can't think of that dude's name, played Greg Fokker, and the other guy, who was the priest in Keeping the Faith. Man, I'm getting old, guys. I can't remember shit anymore. Of course, that's not the ending of Laura's troubles. After the arrest incident, her employer found out about what happened. Jay had lost any love or affection he had for Laura, and at this point, he decided to give the copy of the CCTV footage to her employer. I'm kind of shocked she actually had a job. At first, it looked like she was going to be fired from her job, suspended her for 30 days, pending an HR investigation. Remember, Laura herself worked in the HR department. That's right. I think given her circumstances in the divorce, her company took pity on her and let her return to work on a 1-week-year probationary period where she had to be on her best behavior or immediate termination. Well, she better behave, otherwise she's going to be out panhandling in front of the same Saks Fifth Avenue that she got busted making out with her affair partner. Well, Laura hired an attorney and tried every legal maneuver she and her lawyer could think of to get the divorce into the courtroom. They failed at every turn, but there was a single hearing. I think the courts were so fed up with her filings that they allowed her to go in front of the judge and lay out their case. They did what anybody would have done and said they were a married couple for 6 years. Well, what's funny is obviously there was pictures of the wedding and videotapes of the wedding and people that said they were at the wedding, but obviously those weren't available. And remember, the priest who did the wedding disappeared, and he's the one who never filed the freaking thing with the state. The judge asked for all corroborating evidence, and all Laura could do is hand over a handful of pictures. Pictures that could be on anybody's phone that's dating someone. The judge repeatedly asked for any evidence showing that they applied for or even a photocopy of a marriage certificate. She didn't have one. The judge then asked, is there any evidence that a marriage certificate was even applied for? She had none. How about a wedding album? Well, Jay already has sole possession of this, and Laura's attorney tried to get the judge to issue an order allowing them access to Jay's private bank locker. The judge immediately rejected this request. That's right, Jay had the photo album, but oops, not available. In the end, they got laughed out of court, and Laura racked up about $50,000 in legal fees. That's $50,000 back in the late 90s, when $50,000 had a lot more purchasing power back then. SSM, I want your listeners to know what happened with Jay cannot happen today. New York State is now a fully no-fault divorce state, and even if a marriage certificate is lost, the courts will now accept that a couple was married if it can be proven in court. Jay got very lucky that this happened in the 90s. Men all need to get a rock-solid prenup before even thinking about marriage. Hey, freaking men. I hope all the details I didn't write about before give you and your viewers more insight into Jay's story and the background. A lot of the things I wrote even I didn't know until just now during Jay's visit. Jay's mom is doing well in her golden years. Her and my wife talk frequently, and we visit her at least once a month. Well, that's good for you. Does she still have the Aston Martin? Jay is doing very well for himself in Chicago, and he plans on remaining a bachelor for life. Laura is still living in NYC area, and she's about to turn 50. I don't know why he's still in Chicago. There are a lot of negative things about Chicago. There's negative things everywhere, don't get me wrong, but I think some of you guys know what I'm referring to. All we know is that she has had only one serious relationship, which lasted about 3 years, but that suddenly also ended. We often wonder if Bridget made sure to end the relationship too. We were told Laura wanted to destroy Bridget after she gave all those pictures to Jay, but she had to be on her best behavior or she could lose her job. And every penny counts when you're no longer living the high life in New York. Keep up the great work, SSM. I'm always looking forward to your video notifications. Well, brother, thanks for the update. And shout out to Jay, wherever he is right now. Hope he sees this. That's one hell of a story. And you lucked out, brother. But guys, there you go. Holy crap. And again, you all recall that the priest that did the wedding, he went back to Italy. He retired and went to Italy. Gee, a Catholic priest in Italy, imagine that. And I remember, apparently, I guess in other updates, Laura's attorney tried to track the guy down. Nope, couldn't do it. No evidence. Can't fly to the U.S. because they can't find him. Quite a story there. Appreciate it. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Remind me who the stars were keeping the faith, who I can't think of who the frick they were, but you know what I'm talking about here in that scene I was describing there. Some of you know what I'm talking about here. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.